or things like that. I don't know. All right, Tom, when we think about changes, let's talk about changes. The world you and I live in now, okay, and mine's a little farther back than yours, but I mean, what are some changes that you've seen in this world that we live in?
I've seen technology grow like I never thought it ever would be. Because I'm from back in the high school from back in the 80s, and they always talked about computers, and computer was very large at one time. And they said the computers they'll get smaller and smaller, and I've learned that to be so, because our cell phones is a computer. And technology has grown so much, it's just really amazed me, and it's only going to get more. It's only going to grow even more. You can take your phone and it can do a sleep study on you. It can know your blood pressure, and they got these watches that you can wear, and you know all about your health and everything that's going on. It's just amazing how technology's grown.
Yeah.
And the Bible even speaks of it, that mankind, they'll just continue increasing, getting smarter, and it's true.
Yeah, I think, and technology, there's going to be some good things. Anything you got, man, you can have a shovel and it be bad or good. Okay, it's good if you can dig and bad if you get hit with it.
Right.
So I mean, but I mean, technology. I think I've had people a lot of times. I'll have somebody say, "I don't think you ought to." I don't like TikTok, and I don't like this, and I don't like that. And I said, well, everything can be used however you want to use it. These changes that we go through, I mean, I think if you take things and you apply them and you use them in a good way, the way that's good for we live in. But we've seen everything move fast.
Yep. Like
information now. I mean, it moves pretty quick, doesn't it?
Moves fast.
Yeah.
Everything's like a push button.
Yeah.
You push a button, it's instant. And that's why everybody wants it. They want it to be that way.
Used to, when we was growing up, you had to get on the CB to get a word out.
You did.
CB radio.
I can remember I was about the 4th grade before we ever got a phone in the house, and we didn't have water up until I was a little bit older than that. And I can remember we had the outside Johns also, because you didn't have that. And I'm glad I was raised that way.
Yeah. Good.
Because, I was raised up to a certain age. I never raised my girls that way, but, my girls have really turned out good, and I'm 100% proud of them. Everything they do, they've really done good. And they take care of their daddy, I tell you that.
It's good.
Anything I want, they make sure I got it. No matter what, I don't care what it is, they get it for me.
Yeah.
I don't never mention anything that I do want, because if I do, they get it. And I don't want them to buy me a lot of stuff.
Right.
Because just like you was talking about, our life's only to a certain amount of time. We here today and gone tomorrow. Your life's like a vapor of smoke.
Yeah.
And we ain't going to be here no long time. All I'm doing is just junking my buildings up more.
You have a lot of stuff stored in the storage building?
I do, yeah.
Ain't that something how we do that?
Yep.
I mean, I find myself doing that. The more room you got, the more junk you get, isn't it?
You do.
You're thinking, what in the world? I mean, my house is just a little over 800 square feet, but I have got 4 storage buildings, I believe. My storage building's big. One of them's bigger than my house, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? you get the store stuff. Yeah. So we see those changes. Now, let me ask you this when we talk about changes. You know that a bottle of water at the convenience store costs more than a gallon of gas by the time you pay for that bottle of water. If you took that and added it up. But nobody ever says a word about that, do they?
They never say a word.
Don't think about it. Just going to get that bottle of water. And it's funny, the changes. If you'd have told me when I was a boy growing up we'd be buying water in a bottle,
water.
Who in the world would have thought that?
Never thought it.
No. That or these storage buildings you said. Now, one day you'll be renting a place to put $100 worth of junk. You'll be paying, $100 a month to store it.
Right.
Changes, man.
It's a big difference. I've talked about that a lot. I can remember going back in the mountains and cleaning out back in the bank and getting water because you'd be out either hunting or...
Yeah.
We done a lot of ginsengsing back in too, and you was always down for water. You never packed no lunch or you didn't have no water because you didn't have nothing to put nothing in.
Right.
But we was all raised back in the mountains and back in Slate Creek, and we know where to go to back in the hollers to find water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Yeah, it is. Who's some people that stand out in your mind when you think about it, Tommy, that have really, and I'm not talking about your mom and dad, but I mean outside of your mom and dad have really touched your life?
Well, my Uncle Rose, my uncles was always real great in my life. My Uncle Rose always did. And Clavering, Muncy, he always stood out real great in my life, and they was always there for me and for advice or anything I needed, and I always thought a lot of them for that. And I had an uncle, Carl, he always give us a job in the mines. He give all the Muncys a chance to make it in the mines and to have a career. And about every Muncy I know of worked for Carl Muncy.
Yeah. Sure
That's
did.
where they got their start at.
Yeah.
And he always made a difference. And my first cousin, Melvin Muncy, I always talked the world of him. Melvin, he was always a good minister.
Yeah.
He's been all over the United States a ministering. And you got a bunch more, you know. You got Melvin, Welmer, and Walt. They all us Muncys, you know. We got some kind of ministry in our life that, you know, we always lift up the name of Jesus Christ, and that's, you know, the best thing I know of we could do.
Well, I think about people. You think about people who touch your life, and as you go along, you know.
You do.
And you got some you really miss. We all got people we miss that touched us and really have been there. And I think it's important not to forget them. Yeah, we should remember.
And I got some brother-in-laws too. You know, they always been real good to me, and they always in my memory. And first I can remember back is my brother-in-law Henry Barnett. He was always there for me. Yeah. If I needed something, Henry's always there to help me or give me something, steer me in the right direction. He always was, and he practically raised me and my sister Darlene. They always stayed with him, and they always took care of me.
Yeah.
And when I have fond memories, I always think of them and family time.
Yeah. Well, you think Johnny Muncy's going to make it or not? He's pretty mean too.
He's a pretty mean boy, but I guess if he's mean enough, he'll be able to make it.
I think about Johnny a lot. I like Johnny. I really do.
I do.
And we've been overseas together in Mission Field together. Johnny has. Took Melvin. I've been to Mission Field with Melvin. Took Melvin one time.
Yeah.
We went overseas together, and man, I tell you what, I'm so old you'd have to cut off my leg and count the rings like a tree try to figure it out. I've been around, but I enjoy people, don't you?
I do.
I enjoy being around people and talking to them.
I'm a people person. I like people. But sometimes you run into people that don't like you or don't even like people.
All right, so let's talk about that. Sometimes, though, I think we miss an opportunity to stretch ourselves a little bit, okay? So you meet somebody who really don't like you. I found myself sort of going over toward them and talking to them a little bit because it's not that I like to make them lie, but I want to stretch it just a little bit. You know what I mean? And I found this sometimes, Tommy, people you think don't like you don't think as much about you as you think they do.
Right.
And and sometimes people just having a bad day.
Having a bad day.
They really are. I mean, there's times you're just having a bad day, and you're thinking, boy, and sometimes people say things that they don't really mean. They blurt them out. They'll say something about somebody, and then when somebody tells you what somebody said about somebody, and somebody said about somebody else, time it gets to you, it's you can't even recognize it.
You can't.
When it was just something somebody said.
Right.